Hello, energy enthusiasts and clean energy fans. Welcome to Trina Talks, where we have short conversations that speak volumes. I'm your host, Melissa Cavanaugh, Marketing Manager with Trina Solar US. And as the renewable energy industry matures, companies are no longer just selling clean power. They're building trust, they're building communities and cultural influence. In this episode, we sit down with clean energy storyteller and host of the podcast that most of you are well aware of, Suncast Podcast, as well as the CEO of Suncast Media, Nico Johnson. And we're going to explore how energy companies can elevate from kilowatts to connection. But before we plug into that conversation, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for new episodes of Trina Talks that are released on the first Thursday of every month. Thank you so much for joining me on Trina Talks today, Nico.
Melissa, it is an honor to be here. I was really thrilled that you reached out to ask me as an alum to come back and be on the podcast. Not only was I not a podcaster, but there was no podcast when I was at Trina. So it's fun to see how your marketing strategy is evolving.
Right. Well, and that is how we met. You were with Trina before I was with Trina, and I reached out to you because of your podcast. And now here we are. We're coming full circle. But I would bet there's a pretty large number of our audience that did not know that you are a Trina alum.
Fantastic. Well, that is there. Many of us have walked through the heralded halls of Trina, added value where we could, and continue to sing its praises from afar.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I can't wait to dive into this conversation because you are one of the most well-rounded energy storytellers that I know. So I'm hoping that this conversation that we have today is as fantastic that I've enjoyed when I watch and experience the Suncast podcast. So let's jump in. So energy companies as brands. Let's talk about identity and trust and experience. What does it mean for a renewable energy company to think like a brand?
The concept of a brand is an experience, and thinking like a brand means recognizing that you're not just delivering electrons, you're delivering meaning. You have to translate the product piece of the business into something that can be identifiable and can feel recognizable in the marketplace. Most companies still market like they're in the commodity business, low cost, fastest install, biggest megawatts. But the companies that really break through stand for something. So a brand answers three basic questions. Who are we? Who do we serve? Why should anyone trust us with your critical infrastructure? And trust is not built on spreadsheets and PowerPoints. It's built through the stories that we tell, the ways that our customers show up in real life situations and express problems that were solved. Companies that show up consistently, transparently, with a point of view. They're companies that communities will actually let into their backyards.
Yeah. And so how has that storytelling or authenticity influenced the guests that you've brought on your podcast?
Yeah. I think that from the beginning, I've tried to infuse a sense of authenticity and vulnerability into the conversations that we have on Suncast. I recall getting an email from a friend, Paul Grana, and he said, "Hey, when I listen to your show, I feel like I'm sitting on a bar stool, eavesdropping on a conversation between two industry icons, and I'm like, my guilty pleasure is that I get to listen to it." And so my takeaway from that is that every memorable guest on Suncast has something in common. It's their willingness to be real and to let their guard down. They talk about failures and pivots, the cost of doing things the wrong way, not just the press release wins. And but someone tells you, yeah, that project was a total mess, and here's what we learned from it. People tend to lean in because
Yeah.
now you're not just a company who believes that this podcast is a platform to brag about your prowess. You're a human trying to solve problems just like the rest of us.
Yeah. And honestly, that's what drew me to the Suncast podcast, what, 2 or 3 years ago? But I was drawn
Yeah,
because of the topics, because of how
yeah,
real the conversations were that you have on
yeah,
the Suncast podcast.
yeah. The other thing is the clarity. A story resonates on Suncast when it's rooted in people, not product. You and I've talked about this
Yeah.
for hours, frankly. Who struggled with permitting? Who championed a new tariff structure? Who convinced a county commissioner that this project mattered?
Mhm.
And behind that is, how did the project developer and the farmer connect? How did the project developer, while going through all the machinations of trying to get these things approved, decide simultaneously how to move the shareholders forward and stakeholders forward, while also
Yeah.
what equipment to procure? It's a complex balancing act. But when you tell human-centered stories, even the
Yeah.
complex tech becomes accessible. That's why people trust in the stories that we tell, and they trust the leaders that come on to the show.
Yeah, and we've found in that storytelling is really getting down to, especially in renewable energy, who's benefiting, right? Right on in the
Yeah,
roots of the communities in the US. What are those communities doing, and how are they impacted by all of that work with the
yeah.
permitting and all of the planning and all of the people that are involved with it? So looking forward, in the future of the renewable energy brand, what
Mhm.
what storytelling in renewables is coming for us in 2026 and beyond? What role do we play, maybe in our, in our podcasting, or in uh, other media or content creation? What platforms are in play, and in order to shape the perception of
Mhm.
what renewable energy is really doing?
Yeah. I think that a lot there's much to do about storytelling. I feel like everywhere you turn now, it's kind of like when I was getting my MBA, the word sustainability was proselytized so much that when I started my first company, we had a veto on the word sustainability in any of our proposals. We couldn't talk about sustainability.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like storytelling is something everyone knows they need, no one knows how to do. And you read in every other article like, oh, storytelling is so it's very du jour, as it were. Like
Yeah.
26, it's in renewables, it's very mainstream, not industry internal. But frankly, most of the communication, if you talk to someone uh, in industry marketing, is geared towards Wall Street, insider trade
Hmm.
publications. Uh, the public rarely hears the real story of how this infrastructure changes lives. There once was this very ardent need for us to be on, CNN or Bloomberg, uh, and the reality is now we need local reporters more than we need national reporters. We
Yeah.
need TikTok educators more than we need college professors.
Hmm.
We need community influencers and installers with GoPros on their heads. We need customers telling their own stories,
Yeah.
empowered by brands, right? Like imagine if Trina sent every customer a GoPro package or a drone and said, we would love to get your stories back, right? Like we'll package
Yeah.
them for you. The companies who win will empower others to tell the story for them.
Yeah. Well, and the story is always more interesting and more real when
Hmm.
the customer or somebody who's benefiting from the product is telling that story, because it's not the brand story anymore. It's their story. And that's what really
That's right.
makes it real. With the importance of the voice of customer, the storytelling from the end user, or giving the ability to the communities in the United States to help tell the renewable energy story. How is that changing, or how is that sculpting the media platforms such as Suncast?
Yeah, I think what we've seen in the last, I mean, really kind of in the pandemic, we started to see, these creators like Mr. Beast rise to prominence because folks really crave relatability. I'll come back to that word, but I think about in the tech scene, there's a guy MKBDH, is that right? Like, um, there's Linus Talks. There's YouTube creators that people turn to as gatekeepers of trust, right? They're I feel like for years, energy companies thought, well, let's publish a white paper. The world will understand our technology.
Yep.
Today, trust flows through voices, not PDFs. You've got the CEOs of major companies like Elon or Zuckerberg inviting creators in to do YouTube videos, right? Instead of inviting Bloomberg or CNN to come do factory tours. Platforms like Suncast, indeed Trina Talks, or even local YouTube creators have something that Wall Street doesn't have. That's the relatability that I mentioned before. We get to translate what's happening behind the meter into language that people understand. And it's happening through the voices like mine of people who actually have credible experience. Because I helped launch Trina Smart and Trina Pro. I was on the ground, like installing the first Trina mount. I built a multi megawatt project with my own hands. I developed a 100 megawatt project in Latin America, of all places. Like, having that credibility is what we see creators bringing to this new sort of freedom of the press that we have in the YouTube era, where a guy who is an HVAC and heat pump expert brings a GoPro along and shows exactly what's going wrong and what's going right, and helps homeowners decide. That installer in Florida is helping a homeowner in California decide, not their local service provider, but this YouTuber is helping them decide on what technology they're going to trust. And the job of media now is to help make that energy transition feel familiar and approachable, even exciting. Think about the decision to not even switch to an electric car. Let's go something a lot more tangible and way more friction, but to go to an induction stovetop, right? Like, there's practically a ban on gas appliances in California, So a lot of folks have to decide what induction stovetop am I going to use. And I'm simplifying it down to product selection, sort of product choice. But if we back out, you can see that person who wears boots, puts on gloves, and turns wrenches has a lot more credibility in the homeowner or in the business owner's mind's eye than someone sitting behind a news desk. And that is the conversion that we've seen with the content creator economy that allows us to make this technology feel more approachable. And I'll point to, Will Prowse, a great example of like off-grid solar. He's got almost over 1 million followers now on YouTube, and he helps people solve problems without having to go to a store, right? Like, can I trust this Victron, inverter? And when you do that, public support for this product category skyrockets.
Yeah. And I think that even just having this conversation with you really makes me understand how you have been successful with the Suncast podcast, because you are not only identifying this way of communicating that is relatable to your audience. What do you think that if there was one thing, or maybe one or two, but one thing that renewable energy companies could do right now to strengthen their brand? What do you think?
Yeah, it's simple. Figure out how to tell one story a week consistently
Mm-hmm.
that shows up and shows how you are more than a project, more than a product, more
Mm-hmm.
than a warehouse. Highlight a field tech, a community partner, a mistake you learned from, a customer you served. Don't wait until you've perfected the model or you've got the most star-studded example. Start right where the reality meet, where the boots meet the dirt. Um, I think that building that brand is a habit, not a
Yeah.
campaign. And we think too often in terms of campaigns. That's the work that uh, I, I find that a lot of folks in conversation with me, they are surprised to hear kind of how we show up outside of the podcast in, helping folks be more consistent in that brand narrative, and being consistent in showing up in story arcs that are relatable. And it always comes back to, are you able to do the thing that I've been able to do for the last 10 years? Show up at least once a week, tell
Yeah.
your story, and give people a reason to come back.
Yeah. Well, and that's what, that's what brought our professional careers together, crossing paths in that quest to tell a story and find the way to tell a story that means something to the customers. So, well, I have absolutely enjoyed talking with you. I can't thank you enough for joining us. Honestly, we were all just ecstatic, celebrating that you
Oh,
said yes. So
thank you.
it's an honor to have the Nico Johnson, former Trina entrepreneur and podcasting champion. It's been a pleasure talking to
I
you.
think this is really fun, and I really appreciate the from one marketer to another. I appreciate the thoughtfulness of the structure and the questions. I definitely appreciate the invite. For me as well an honor to have the opportunity, the acknowledgement to be able to join you as you're sort of striking out on this new channel. And if there's any way that I can help to champion the work that you're doing, you know that I will. And I'm grateful to be selected, I think, as one of the first 10 episodes, if
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Thank you again. And thank you, all of you who are watching or listening to this episode of Trina Talks. Thanks for joining. We've got another great lineup of Trina Talks episodes coming in 2026. And I can't wait to share them with you on the first Thursday of every month. So be sure to subscribe and share this video with your project team. And until next time, may your LCOE be low, your efficiency high, and your systems optimized. I'm Melissa Kavanaugh, and this is Trina Talks.